Alright, my name is Austin Basie, and today we'll be talking about Toxoplasma Gondii with the disease name of toxoplasmosis. Joined to me today is my loving mother, Laura Pittman, and her boyfriend, Bob. Alright, so today we're going to go over a couple basics, structures, functions, and treatment plans, signs and symptoms, and how we can prevent it. On here is a couple basic structures. We're going to start out with the smooth oval body. Once we get into it, we're going to realize that there is no flagella, cilia, or any locomotive help. By flagella or cilia I mean something that helps it move throughout the cell, move it through the plasma, anything like that. What does help it is the coronoid, the rope trees, the micropores, and the micronemes. Those are found on the outside of the cell. What they do is help penetrate whatever target cell that they have. That means whatever they help get into the cell to help infect it. And then listed below is other types of structures inside the cell. Right here is what we're looking at is a microscopic view. So it is a gram-positive stain. Obviously you can see that because it's purple when stained with the crystal violet. And it stays like that. That also means that it has a very peptoglycan wall. It's very thick. Here is a basic structure layout. The only part that's really important is the very far. This side is what helps penetrate into the cell. What you're seeing here is the polarine, the coronoids, and the macroneme. This is actually what digs into the host cell. This is what helps infect it. So the transmission. It sounds very weird, but the only way you can get this is through feline contact. That means by anything with a cat scratch, cat bite. Most of the time what you're going to see is through cat feces. So when you clean a litter box, when you don't clean your hands after, and you start eating raw food or any type of food, that's pretty much how you're going to get it. Other ways of doing it is eating undercooked food. Also the same way as eating food when you haven't washed your hands. Raw food is a very suitable environment for parasites. So if it's not cooked thoroughly, the research that I've done is around 67 degrees Celsius. If it's not cooked above that, then it's probably not going to be edible. Another way is not properly washing hands or drinking filtered water. This is very common in low socioeconomic areas. It really doesn't happen in our kind of place because we have people that filter our water very well. And we do have certain standards. So for instance, people in South America or Africa or anywhere like that, those places that don't have filtered water or don't have access to any filtrations, those are the ones that you're going to see this happen a lot. The cycle continues by the cell or the parasite penetrating any host cell through its outside sources like the coronoid and the toconemes, and it invades the cell. The parasite will then duplicate inside of it, eventually rupturing the host cell. And when I say rupturing the host cell, the parasite actually duplicates so much that it expands the host cell to the point where it just explodes inside the body. So that causes a severe transmission throughout the body. So even though it happens to one, it can produce up to 100. And from those 100, it can keep going on from there. As you can see here, here's a little diagram of a little bit of transmission. So what we have, it starts here in the cat. That's the host. The tissue cyst is ingested by the cat. From here, this is the kind of cycle that you're going to see. So it attacks to any cell and then produces oocytes. From the oocytes, it can either go two ways, back into the animal structure or into a human. From the human, per se, if it's a woman, that's how it gets transmitted further into other humans. You really don't get it from human-to-human contact unless it's from pregnancy. Right here is what we're looking at as when the Toxoplasma Gondii is infecting the cell. See how on the small end, right here, that is where it's actually going to penetrate into the host cell. Like mentioned earlier, that's where all the kind of ciliations or flagella looking stuff will actually be. Nothing on the outside is really going to be there. So who gets infected? The most common ones that you're going to see that get infected are infants. due to the pregnancy of a woman that has been infected during or prior to being pregnant. And also, kids do not know what's right from wrong, meaning that they can go into a litter box and start playing with poop. I'm pretty sure if you have brothers and sisters, it's happened. People with weak immune systems, so people that get sick easily or who have had cancer in the past or even going through chemotherapy, which produces the weakened immune system, those people are also likely to get it. The last ones that we need to talk about are those who go through organ transplants. They're easy to get it because organ transplants are risky. It may not be sutured up well, or it's just too open, or you don't know where the organ came from. Sometimes it could be infected on the way. It's a matter of what happens. So a couple signs and symptoms. In some cases, or in most cases, it's flu-like symptoms. So you're going to be experiencing coughing, sneezing, anything you can assume that's a flu type. Also muscle aches or what's it called? Inflamed or swollen lymph nodes. Those are also kind of signs of this. But they're not to be mistaken for the regular flu. The regular flu is by itself. This goes through a series of testing in order to identify that it is Toxoplasma Gondii. You can't just assume since you have the flu that it is that kind of parasite. Now, in some severe cases, it has infected certain organs. It has infected the eyes, which is the most common, and then the brain. There aren't many ways that it can infect anything else, so it targets mainly organs and obviously the brain and the eyes. Also, on signs and symptoms for the babies, you will not be able to tell early. The signs and symptoms do not happen until later when they hit maturity, around probably say 4 or 5, that kind of maturity where they actually start growing up and figuring out their immune system. It can be in their body for that long and show no signs and symptoms. Actually, it won't even do any harm to the actual body at that time. So, some treatment plans. Simply, treatments for this aren't very common due to it not being in this area. So, from what we have recorded, it's pretty much treated just like the flu. So, pretty much any antibiotics or any prescriptions, drugs that the doctor will administer, that's pretty much the only way that we've seen to be treated. If it's infected into the eyes, which is called ocular toxoplasmosis, the only way we can treat that is depending on the severity. So when I say severity, that just means how far it's gone into the eye. So if the parasite has infected the eye to where it can't come out, or if it's done more damage than we can repair, that determines the treatment plan from there. Sometimes it can go through antibiotics. Sometimes we can do eye surgery. We can repair the retina, the eye, or anything like that. But it all depends on how much damage the parasite has caused. And then for the brain and other organs, nothing has been listed so far. Probably because we don't see it that often in a high socioeconomic area, more of a lower kind of standard. So it's not really, in our terms, our problem at the moment to identify. So we really haven't found a treatment course or plan. That's it. How long was it?